Okay.
absolutely, from a number standpoint, love this deal. And the reason why, and I came across this um cold calling and just
Hmm.
went through the normal questioning, the lady, at the time she was sick and she had a few houses and she just wanted to let this one go. Beautiful
Hmm.
area in Oak Park. And I just asked her, you know, hey, do you have a mortgage on the house? She says yes. She tells me the mortgage amount, and then I go and see it's worth 240 and she owes about 171. And so I
Okay.
go, okay. And then I start figuring out how much work it needs. I'm like, oh crap, you're only gonna make like $10,000 on it. I'm like,
to do better in their business, but I also have to.
I don't know how to do it.
I definitely would love to go through maybe one of your sub two deals as well, just to
let's
kind of
go.
see how you structured it and things like
Yeah, man.
that. So
You know what,
that'd
man?
be
I
awesome.
came on this channel because I want to talk real estate, man. I enjoy it. I
Yes.
love it. So yeah, man, I would love to
Yes.
talk about that deal because that was a sweet deal, man. So yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah. Now, quick question. I don't want to pivot away from that, but are you with all with your rentals that you have? Are you managing them yourself, or do you have a property manager?
Yeah, I'm doing them myself, right? I only have three. I figure after maybe five or so, I can kind of maybe figure out if I need to have that conversation. But the two that I have, because I'm looking to rent out the third one right now, they
Yeah,
are Section 8. So relatively, um, pretty
relatively
decent.
easy.
Yeah, but of course,
Are they easy? Do you have like an app like like there's like are you taking cash underneath the table, putting underneath your suitcase? Like how are you getting the funds from there, from the tenant, in order to make everything recordable, to kind of get
Oh
everything on the up and up,
yeah.
so things like that.
Yeah. So with the Section 8 tenants, they get a voucher. And that voucher basically says, hey, if they can afford this much, and they
Hmm.
pay either everything or you pay utilities. I usually say
Hmm.
A, they pay everything. So that voucher will say, hey, I can afford $1,700 a month. And as long as it fits my, rental criteria and rental rates, then that voucher will pay me every month on the
Hmm.
first. So
Okay.
that's how I'm getting the money in. So, I have my LLC set up and then they
Yep.
put the money in there and that's how I get it recorded. And it's Section 8. So, you deal with a different type of tenant.
Now,
Um, but
are all of them Section 8 at the
yeah,
moment?
yes, the 2 that I have are Section 8, and the one that I'm going to be putting under contract, I'm screening tenants now, but I would like for that also to be Section 8, and I have 2 people lined up. So yes, the 2 that I have are Section 8.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's really good to know because actually, homeowners or not homeowners, landlords, they don't like Section 8 tenants, and because it
Mhm.
has a bad rap. But in my opinion, it's guaranteed money. You know,
Yeah.
who all during COVID when nobody was paying, who was paying? Section 8.
Land Section 8 landlords. And you know what? You brought up
Yeah.
a very, very great point. What was his name? He was an electrician on my first flip. I remember I was speaking to him and I was like, freaking out about the electrical at the house. And he hit me up and said, yeah, I got some Section 8 houses in East Point and Warren. And
Hmm.
he's like, man, I'm still getting paid. My other friends that have properties during COVID, he was like,
Yep.
they're struggling to get payments. And I was like, and I was already thinking about Section 8 about 2 years before he said that. And I said, you know
Mm,
what? And I got a 9 to 5 and I'm thinking about the expenses and I don't want to miss payments, definitely when you
yep.
have mortgages on these properties. And I'm like, well, at least if I can get 5 Section 8 homes in my eyes, then I'll go cash tenant
Yep.
after the 5 is what I would like to do. But yeah, I mean, the money's coming in, man. Money's coming in.
Yep.
And I mean, it's hard to beat. Yes, you still got to screen your tenants, like you would do a cash tenant, but it's
Hmm.
guaranteed money. And the housing authority that I had to deal with, I mean, they were pretty good to deal with. Once I got past their inspection, Section 8's inspection, it was like money's coming in every first of the month. I get my email, they're gonna pay me on the
Yeah,
first. Cool, money's there. I I
most definitely.
I just can't beat it. I don't have
You,
to chase
you
one
can't
down.
beat it. It's like why choose some uncertainty? You
Yeah, and
know.
here's the one thing that I now can speak on for Section 8. So there is a way to get 100% of your
Hmm.
rental funds. So Section 8 normally pays 70%, and then the tenant is responsible for the 30. So you got to go
Right.
chase down your 30 from the tenant. But if your
Right.
tenant goes there and they say, "Hey, I had a seasonal job and I lost my job,"
Hmm.
they then just file a piece of paperwork that says employment change, and then you'll get a letter back from Section 8, and this happened to me on both the homes. We're gonna
Yep.
pay at 100%. I'm like,
Wow.
"Oh, okay." Like, obviously, I'm like, "Well, hey guys, get back to work." But I just got a letter
Right.
that says you're gonna pay me 100% the rent, and this is 100% true, and it's happened
Yeah.
on both my properties. So you can get
I just got
100%
to
of the
worry
rent.
about the utilities, them paying the utilities. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah. But
and they gotta pay the utilities, pay the water, and I tell them, if I
yep.
get a bill that comes to my house, you are responsible for this, and you gotta pay this, but and,
Hmm.
and they happen to find a way to find that money when it comes to the utilities. So, it is what it is.
Well, yeah, because that's the good thing about Section 8 is nobody wants to get off that program, you
Exactly.
know, because it's, I mean, that your rent is your biggest expense,
Yeah.
so, um, you
They're gonna
know,
be homeless, if they
yeah,
happen to lose this voucher from a business standpoint.
yep,
They need this voucher, right? You're a cash
yep,
tenant and you can vet them out effectively, and they'll be sometimes they're good. But they can just up and leave, and then you got to go find them in order to sue for them and get the money.
hmm,
These people, they need this voucher. They're a little more appreciative of you giving them the home, because if they lose
most
it,
definitely.
they don't have anywhere to go. And
Yeah,
so they don't want to lose their voucher. They want to stay there. And so now as a landlord, you're like, okay, they want to stay here. They're incentivized to stay here because they'll lose their voucher, and I can get possibly 100% or even 70% of the rent, which is going to still
hmm,
cover whatever mortgage that I got on it
right.
and still cash flow. Like, man, I'm taking the deal.
Most definitely. And I mean, why not? As a landlord, it just makes 100% business sense, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, you're going to have to fix the house
yeah,
up, and all those things. They're going to come. Those things happen with tenants. But look, man, I can get the rent 100% or it's even
mhm,
70%. Man, I'm in it, man.
yeah. Now, Rowo brings up another an interesting question. It says, is subject to easy to come across?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you putting it. And anybody who does have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. Go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll answer them as we go. So, is subject to easy to come across. I know as a wholesaler, I pitch it all the time, but I haven't had a deal yet with
Mm,
it.
yeah.
I try to, but
Yeah, I'll speak for myself as well. I pitched it a lot over the 5, 6 years. I've probably gotten a couple times at bat, maybe three, maybe four, right? Of people that have really considered it. And then I've
mhm,
actually went to the home, seen the house, and then start talking a deal. But really, out of all those subject to deals, I came across one that made sense. So to me, no, they're not easy to come across for me, right?
yep,
Um, I do see some wholesalers or investors that are coming across these deals a lot in other markets. For me,
yeah,
it's a little tough, right? But I've gotten better at questioning to open them up to it, but it's not, I don't think it's easy personally.
right.
But
I think
it's definitely,
the higher the price point might be the easier it is to talk to them about it.
it could be.
So,
Yeah, because I
yeah.
mean, I love to talk about the deal that I got,
Yeah,
the subject to deal that I got, if you want to go into that.
most definitely. Just real quick, the
Yeah.
CEO I love the name, by the way, on YouTube. Hey, Randy, hope all is well, bro. Thanks for all the videos. Appreciate all you're doing for us. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
awesome. So, and then Robo says, is it possible to do a subject to deal on a foreclosed property?
Oh
So,
yeah, absolutely. You can. I haven't had much success with it because normally by that time the seller is in a bad situation. They don't want to answer
yeah,
your phone until the week of the
yeah.
auction. And then you really can't strike. I mean, you can strike a deal, if you got the funds, but a lot of times they don't hit you up in enough time to be able to structure a deal. So the answer to that question is yes. And from my experience, when I've tried to do that and pitch it to them, it's already become too late. Um, and they're already in that
So,
situation.
so from what I've seen and heard about that is yeah, like you said, it is possible. Just know that you're probably going to be paying more to
Mhm.
get the deal done. What I mean, more out of pocket.
Yeah.
So usually subject to deals are let's get as low as out of pocket cost as possible.
Right.
But you're probably going to be paying not obviously the full extent, but you got to bring all the rearages up to normal. Okay.
Hmm.
So that's the key thing is with that.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting about that. And I'm, you know, if it makes sense, it makes sense. If you're only like 3 months behind and they're foreclosing, it might be worth it,
Yeah.
you know.
But I feel like a
But
year.
if you're like a year behind, like you were with COVID, or 2 years behind, and now you're at $20,000,
I've seen it.
unless that house is, four or $500,000, which it could
Mhm.
be,
Yep.
then it might not be worth it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So unless it has a low interest rate. So there's the pros and cons. Everything has a balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So am I going to overpay for something like that? No. But if it has a good interest rate and now I'm doing a little bit more out of pocket, then it'll be good.
It's possible. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's why I love creative financing, man.
And then REOs are normally not assignable, would require a double close or transactional funding. That is correct, but we're not talking about REOs
No,
here.
not bank
Okay.
calls. Yeah.
Not bank owned. It's completely different. So, why don't we go ahead and talk about your deal? And I'd love to hear about this, and
Oh,
we
man.
can go from there.
Yeah. So I call this the subject to deal. I'm gonna
Okay.
actually put it on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna work on that video Sunday. I
Okay.
absolutely, from a number standpoint, love this deal. And the reason why, and I came across this um cold calling and just
Hmm.
went through the normal questioning, the lady, at the time she was sick and she had a few houses and she just wanted to let this one go. Beautiful
Hmm.
area in Oak Park. And I just asked her, you know, hey, do you have a mortgage on the house? She says yes. She tells me the mortgage amount, and then I go and see it's worth 240 and she owes about 171. And so I
Okay.
go, okay. And then I start figuring out how much work it needs. I'm like, oh crap, you're only gonna make like $10,000 on it. I'm like, not worth it. And then I hit her up and I said, well, would you be open to if I took over the payments of the property, and then I own the home and you don't have to make any payments, and then I also bring up your credit score
Right.
because you haven't made payments. And this is what I did. So here's the meat, here's the potatoes.
Yep.
five
So was
thousand
she
dollars.
behind?
She was behind. Well, was she behind? No, 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 no. She was not behind. She was
Okay.
not behind. And this is why the deal was so green for me. It was incredible. She was not
Yep.
behind, but she was having a financial hardship where she was like, I'm getting to that point where I'm not going to be able to make any more payments.
Right.
Right. Because she was already becoming late, but she was just before the 30 days. And so then I said, well, I can give you $5,000 down. Right.
Hmm.
And then what else did I do? So $5,000 down. Her monthly payment is 930 a month.
Okay.
And the rental rates over there are 1,900. Now the
Okay.
house needed some work, right? And I just
Mhm.
calculated all my numbers, and it cost me about $21,000 to fix her up.
Okay.
Um, and then the interest rate, it was
Yeah.
crazy. It was 40 years because she did a loan mod in 2016. So 40
Okay.
years at a five, I think 5.5%,
Okay. It's not
right?
bad.
So it's not bad. Interest rates at the time were 7%.
Yeah.
I was like, and I called, and I actually called and verified, and that's what the deal was. They said this is a conventional loan. This is 40 years, 930. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And then I'm like, the spread on the rent was nice. And I said, okay, I gotta
Mhm.
take the deal. I was like, I gotta take the deal. And I was like, and then the rehab was just, you really just needed a kitchen, right? You really
Mhm.
just needed a kitchen. New furnace was in there. AC unit is a little questionable. The roof is good. Hot water tank, and then I had to update the plumbing. And I was like,
Okay.
it just worked, bro. And it was in a beautiful location in Oak Park,
Mhm.
and it was just like check mark after check mark. And I got a whole deal calculator. I think I might have showed you
Yep.
before.
Oh yeah.
And
I actually use yours as a reference for the deal calculator that I created.
see,
So yeah,
yeah, so I
you
used
know.
that thing, and worst case scenario numbers turned out green. And when I say
Mhm.
green, like rate of return and then how much I'm getting in cash flow. And I was like, man, I gotta take it. So and then I was like, I'm about to invest into it. I was like, what else am I gonna do
Yeah.
with this money that I got sitting here that I made on my flips and stuff? I'm like, I'm about to invest it. And then that's what I did.
Mhm.
And so that deal was dope. So $5,000 down just to give her for a house that's worth $240,000. She only owes 171.
Mhm.
And the interest rate is fixed for 40 years at 5.5.
Now, did
And
you
then
sell or finance any portion of any more? So what was the total purchase price?
so the total purchase price would have been the 171 plus the 5,000, so it was 176.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So you didn't do too much over that. It was
No,
just like, okay, we'll do, you know, so she actually only ended up making 5 grand out of the deal,
that was
but
it.
she got rid of the house. You
She
you
got rid
solved
of
her problem,
she got
you
rid of the
know?
house. It needed work, and when I first got it, man, I seen rat poop in the basement. I was like, oh God, no, no, God, no. So I seen all those things, we did pest control, things are
Yeah.
good there. But there's just a point where she just was over it. Like she was done with it. It was too much. And then, she was able to bring it over to me. And I loved it, man. That was like my favorite deal.
Most Yeah, so the CEO says, "Smart man, bringing up the credit score for you. Bring up the credit score for you." So
Yeah. Because I mean,
that's awesome.
she was at that point where it's like the next 2 months, she was like, I'm not gonna be able to pay the mortgage payment. And
Right.
she was actually very thankful when I closed that deal, because she didn't have anything to do with the property anymore.
Yeah.
So I definitely helped her out. And as an investor, you can't go and buy that house cash. Like they would have only made 10 grand if they would have put $30,000 into it,
Right.
even 40,000. So it would have been a deal they would have just walked away from.
Yeah. And that 10 grand would be easily eaten up by realtor fees, closing fees,
Exactly.
whatever, negotiation fee, like
Absolutely.
everything out there.
Absolutely.
So 100%, I think that is a smoking deal. Now, did you calculate the new updated taxes and everything?
Yeah, so I did include that. So and even after that, I'll still be in the green, once they,
Okay.
go up because it fluctuates for like 2 years. So I'll
Yep.
still be in the green when it comes to that. And so that's when I said, all right, cool. And even if I get a Section 8 tenant, I might go down a little bit, because I got a person right now at 1750. She wants it. And I'm like, I'm really asking for 1900. But
Yeah.
again, if that money's coming in every month,
And if it's
you know, she's a
guaranteed,
if she's a decent tenant or whatever, then
yeah.
we can go that route. But that spread between what she owed at a $930 payment. This was a nice house, man. This house was 1,600 square feet, a three
Okay.
bed, bath and a half with a basement. This was actually one of the bigger homes that I've actually renovated. But it didn't need
Wow.
as much work, but it was a nice home. And I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
this is just a nice house, bro.
Mhm.
So the upside of it is so nice. Like right now, I could sell and still win, you
Yeah.
know, if I wanted to just sell and then, pay my taxes. I probably would walk away with a nice amount, but I'm going to keep it as a rental because if it's 240 now, in 5 years from now, that thing can probably touch 300,000. You know what I'm saying?
How far into the 40-year mortgage was she?
So she just did it in 2016, so not far at all.
Okay, so 2016, you're at, you know, what, 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah,
Um, I'm like, okay, cool. You still got some of that beginning. You pay all the interest and everything
like
in the beginning
15 years.
mainly.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
but
So
that's good.
I was
And
I was
spread out over
surprised.
40 years,
Yeah, I was
not
surprised.
30.
I was like, when they told me 40 years, and I think I recorded the call on the phone, I was like, what? So I wasn't too excited, but then I'm like, listen, man, if I can just cash flow this house, everything, whatever,
Yep.
man. You know what I'm saying? But if I decide to refinance down the road, if it makes sense, then I can just refinance at a hopefully a better rate than a 5.5. That's the only way I would do it. And then I could possibly pull out cash or just do a rate and term, whatever, But as long as it
Yeah.
cash flows, it's all I care about. It's a sub 2 deal, and I liked it, man. So that was my second
But
seller finance deal, and I love that one.
And one thing that you're not mentioning that you also make money out of, not there's the cash flow, there's all the rental, the appreciation, but there's also one more thing, depreciation.
Oh, absolutely. I
Depreciation.
wish I had
Everybody's
my
like,
I
well,
wish
what's
I had my horn.
that?
I wish I had my
Well,
horn
deep
here, man. Yes.
I know, man. I don't have none of that set up. I'm not as fancy as you.
Mhm.
But
There you
uh
go.
but depreciation, when you're doing fix and flips and you're doing wholesaling, that is considered right now money, and you can uh, basically you're going to get taxed at the highest rate.
Yeah.
So you
Yep.
have these properties to put depreciation, and now you can bring that down, that taxable income. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely, dude.
so
That is the game of the wealthy, man, is the depreciation. That's why they love real estate because you can make cash flow. So you're making money on an asset, and then you can write
mhm.
this thing off against all these other things you got to pay money on.
Yep.
And for 30 years. And so, yeah, you hit the nail right on the head, right with that.
Now, when did you close on this deal?
So I closed on this deal. This was in July, I believe, either July or beginning
Okay.
of August. So,
Okay.
yep,
So
just
there's
finished
enough
up.
time that's gone by. Here's the big question. Did they do the due on sale clause?
I need some wood, man. There's some wood behind me. No, no,
That
no, they
is
haven't.
what
And I did, and I
everybody's
did,
afraid about.
and I did switch the insurance. I switched the insurance. I forgot how I had to do it. I think I had to still have her name was on there. And
Yeah.
I had my name on there too. So yeah, I switched the insurance. They took my payment, and then we're gonna keep it moving.
The biggest thing that I've seen is even if you switch the insurance, it's perfectly fine as long as you leave the old homeowner's name attached onto the insurance.
Yep.
As soon
Yep.
as you take it off, I've heard,
Yeah.
it's only hearsay, that that's what will be a big red flag.
Yeah.
So
Yep. That's what I was
uh,
told as well.
yeah. So that's awesome. And you didn't get the due on sale clause. Knock on wood. So I just knocked on wood for you there. So,
If
and
I do, I'll just sell it in 6 months, man. So whatever.
I know. And there's also a different, when they do the due on sale clause, they're not saying, oh, give me all the money tomorrow or we'll take the property. They're going to give you a time frame,
Yeah.
you know? So now you can put backups, and you know what? Okay, deed it back to them and do it as a land contract for the exact price.
There you go.
So that's one way to do it. And so does your paperwork go over all of these? If these problems occur, what happens, or if you stop paying, what happens, so on and so forth.
Yeah, so they have defaults. Yep. So there's defaults in the paperwork we sign at closing that states,
Okay.
if I miss a payment, and she comes back and she proves that I missed the payment, she is able to then get the house back.
Okay.
So that is in there, right there. Yep, there's consequences, for me missing a payment. So, that just incentivizes me to stay on top of it. And then,
Mhm.
once you get it rented out, you just go ahead, slap that thing on auto pay and make sure the payments are coming out.
Are you using a servicing company or just doing it yourself?
I'm
Logging
just
into
doing it
her account and doing.
Yeah, I'm just doing it myself. So I'm
Okay.
logged. I got her access to her online banking, or not online banking, but
Mhm.
online for the mortgage, and then I just have that thing come out. So no, I'm not
Okay.
using a servicing company, but you can, like another escrow company.
Mhm.
I just chose not to.
Right.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view.